Right, today we're gonna check out the TinAudio T4. So actually here in the channel for TinAudios, they're usually in my top 5s, and they're really making great stuff. However, in the TinAudio space, there's not one TinAudio yet that came to a top 1 recommendation. There's not one TinAudio that I really like, across the board. There's always something lacking with some TinAudios that I didn't really like. But now with the Tin T4s, that might change now. And from the title of this video, I think this is keeper territory now for me with a Tin T4. But of course, big thanks to Linsol Audio for sending this over. They've been really a great help here in this channel. If you want to get a Tin T4, use my links down below. It will help out the channel a lot. And of course, if we review budgetfi to mid-fi audio gear, so if you're into that, also consider subscribing. First, let's look at the box first. It says Tin Hi-Fi T4. Opening it up, of course, you get the IM right away. But let's take a look at that in a few. And you get another super duper nice leather, jewelry kind of case. It's kind of a tanned leather, Tin Hi-Fi. Of course, inside you do get a place where you can put your IM in. You do get a Tin Hi-Fi card over at the top, which is nice, and you can put maybe your tips over here at this side. This is a very nice feeling case. One of the best cases, definitely warranted in that kind of $100 price range with a T4. This is what I'm expecting, which is nice. And actually, when I first unboxed this, this feels a little bit different compared to the Tin T3. So compared to the Tin T3, actually I was surprised that the lobes are a bit lighter compared to the Tin T3. So I was expecting in the Tin T4 that the build will be better, or even at par with the Tin T4. But when I first held this, this feels a little bit less substantial compared to the T3. So it's still made of all metal in design, MMCX connector, and cable wise it's a bit different compared to your T3. So let's take a look at the lobes first. In terms of the lobes, it's a little bit different in design compared to the T3, but it still has that kind of shape. So you have that kind of gem kind of look, of course red and blue indicators, and you have that bullet shape than what you get with a T3 also. It also comes with this tips right off the box, so it's different compared to the T3. The T3 comes with a foam tip. This one is kind of like a spin fit kind of tip. In terms of the metal also, this is more shiny compared to the gunmetal look of the T3. So frankly speaking, I do prefer the build quality of the lobes of the T3 better. For me, it's a little bit more substantial feeling in the hand. This feels a little bit cheaper, unfortunately, compared to the T3. However, this kind of build makes this a little bit lighter. So actually, that may be a pro for comfort, because yeah, this maybe 40% lighter compared to the T3, so that will be more comfortable in the ear. And actually, there's a little bit of wobble with the MMCX, so I would say that this is not something that you want to just throw in your bag and forget about it. You need to take care of the T4. Am I worried? Not so much, because this is still a metal kind of build, but that's something for you guys to note. You need to kind of take care of your T4. Going with the cable itself, so this is not your 8-core kind of cable compared to the Tin T3. So actually this is a little bit less soft compared to the T3. So you have preformed ear hooks, which is nice, but you do see that kind of plastic in the ear hooks, much like your KZs. So for me, I kind of prefer that you don't see it, especially in this kind of price range. A seamless kind of design will work for me better. You do have a metal fork in the middle, and of course an organizer with a see-through kind of design. You also do have a straight plug at the top. In terms of the overall cable quality, this is actually a bit rough. So that's something that I don't like also. I wish that they went with a kind of a smoother cable overall. This feels that this will tangle in my pocket, that kind of rough. But in terms of build, it does actually feel really good. It feels that it will last me, so that's not a big issue for me. So build is pretty substantial overall, but it's just the texture that I don't like. And of course, if it's softer, it will be better for me also. So in terms of looks, it's similar to the Tin T3. It also fits like the Tin T3, very similar. On the ear also, it's very similar to the Tin T3, but this a bit lighter on the ear. As I have mentioned, this feels less substantial compared to the Tin T3. Actually, in terms of comfort, this is actually pretty good for me. You can see me wearing this for a long listening session because it's that light on the ear. It's also pretty stable in the ear because of that ear rest at the top. It does fit okay in my ear. It's not the best fit because it's not, you know, that IEM kind of fit. It's just some wobble on the ear. This doesn't fit like your TRN BA5 with that custom IEM kind of fit. Also, one of my issue here is it takes some time for me to find a perfect fit for this. So I kind of tend to move it around before I get a good seal. So if you're somebody who takes this out and puts it back in, you know, from time to time, you might find this a bit of a hassle to find the right fit for you. You might want to change your tips to maybe, you know, some foam tips or different tip that will fit faster on the ear compared to the default tips that it comes with. Right now, let's go to the sound. So overall, as I mentioned in my intro, I would categorize the Tin T4 to be in the league of keepers for me. So keepers is like regardless of price, it's something that I will keep in my kit, which means you know, I really like it, and definitely it will go to our top 5. So it's a slight W-shaped kind of sound, fairly neutral until 2K, slight bump from 1 to 2K region, and you have your peaks at 7 to 10K. So compared to the Tin T3, this is less neutral, but a more fun signature overall. So on the ear, I would say it's still fairly neutral, but done in a more engaging, more kind of fun way. So there's more shimmer here on top, and the vocals are definitely better here compared for me to the Tin T3. But the presentation is still on the clean side, but it's slightly more warmish and smooth now compared to the Tin T3. So there's also some punch, also some air, but not the same air as other BA counterparts, and also a bit more toned down in punch. So this is more neutral in presentation of air and punch overall, more accurate in a way. So you have you know, still that signature precision that Tin T3 has. The sound sounds just about right again, but it's more engaging and more fun compared to what you get with the Tin T3. So the highs are very nice, no sibilance. So while still this has some shimmer on top, this is not, you know, as shimmery compared to the Tin T3. This is more toned down compared to the Tin T3. So this is more of a fluid highs. Has still some air and full-bodied highs, which is very nice. So like in I Shot the Sheriff, the cymbals sound lively, energetic. Has a bit of shimmer, but not so much, and also doesn't sound thin. So compared to your BA counterparts, the body here is still very good, and I would say more full-bodied compared to your BA counterparts. So the mids here are definitely improved over the Tin T3. So the Tin T3, that's my major issue. I find the mids to be too clean, too thin for me. So the mids now are the best that I've heard in under $200 in the Tin T4, which is very impressive. Lush, rich, lots of detail. Vocal region is forward in the mix, as I also see in the measurements, in both female and male vocals, and also has some micro detail, which is very nice, and also pretty thick overall in terms of the overall presentation. So this mids reminds me a lot of my HD600, which is one of my favorite mids in the headphone land. The vocals are not too shouty also. So definitely this is something that you can listen to for a long listening session in the vocal region. However, compared to let's say more revealing BA mids, it is a touch veiled in the Tin T4. So if you are gonna A/B test it with more kind of revealing IEMs, this is a little bit more veiled, but not so much. This is not a veiled sound, but this is just a touch veiled. So this really gets still high marks for me in the mids department. Bass is surprisingly punchy, more punchy and forward in the mix compared to the Tin T3. So this is a more engaging bass and also goes deep as well. So it's kind of surprising that you have this kind of bass in a TinAudio. Just not something for bass heads still. This is not your forward dominant kind of bass, but definitely this is more substantial compared to your Tin T3. So this is definitely a welcome addition, especially for those who's looking for kind of a more engaging listen in their sound. So this even has some boom still, but this is not your super boomy bass. This has just right amount of boom, I'd say. It's still in the tight side. It's still pretty fast. It's still not your woolly kind of bass. I would say one of my favorite toned down basses in that kind of price range. There's also some micro detail here, even with a DDIM. This is a still very impressive micro detail, I'd say, but frankly this won't beat out your pure BA counterparts, but I would still give this high marks here because still has some micro detail. In terms of response, it is very good. Tonality is also in the natural side. DD always still has the edge in tonality overall, and definitely it shines here. Soundstage here is surprisingly big. This is the biggest TinAudio that I reviewed. This is expansive. The depth is deeper than height. And yeah, pretty big soundstage. So this gets really high marks for me. Imaging and TinAudio's tradition is still very good here, so you can still use this for some monitoring or some mixing, which is very nice. Separation here actually is a little bit toned down compared to what you get with the TinT3, because the TinT3 has a cleaner presentation overall. It's a more smooth, more warmish presentation. So the separation here is not as good as other pure BA counterparts, but this is still very good with that big stage and nice imaging. So separation is still fairly good with the TinT4s. So some comparisons compared to the TFZ T2. The T2 is more bassy, more V-shaped, more punchy bass, also a more colored sound with the TFZ T2. Both have some micro detail. Of course, I give the edge to the TinT4 in the micro detail part. Both in the engaging side in terms of the overall signature. Both good bodied sound. TinT4 is still more technically capable, better micro detail, better tonality for me, and also a better signature. So they both have different signatures. Actually, it will be up to you what signature you prefer, but personally for me, I do prefer the TinT4 more because of the more forward mids, better separation, and also of course that micro detail with the TinT4. So I do like the TinT4 more than the TFZ T2. Compared to the T3, the T3 is a cleaner, smaller stage, more thin mids, brighter also, and more airy. So for clarity focused people, you actually might like the TinT3 more. A T4 is more engaging in terms of the sound, a more punchy bass, and also of course better mids. So personally, I do like the TinT4 more, better mids, a more engaging sound, and still pretty good versatile signature. Compared to the TR and BA5, the BA5 is cleaner in presentation, a more revealing sound. Also has some micro details still. The BA5 also has more air in the sound, so definitely they both have different flavors. The BA5 is more like a Bayer dynamic. The TinT4 is more of like a Sennheiser in terms of the overall presentation. So frankly, for me, I prefer the TinT4 more because of the better precision, better signature and imaging, and more forward mid. So the signature in the TinT4 is something that I like more than the TR and BA5. Compared to RTO RK01, RTO is $300, and yeah, definitely 3 times more expensive compared to the TinT4. These two are super close for me. When I first listened to the TinT4s, it kind of reminded me of the RK01. So the RK01 is more revealing in terms of the overall presentation, more micro detail, warmer, more colored, fun sound. Overall, there's a high similarity in terms of overall presentation. Also, the RK01 is more U-shaped, so it's a more fun sound in the RK01. More engaging sound even in the RK01. TinT4 is quite close, but I'd still prefer the RK01. But I say they're really close, maybe 5% difference close. But definitely there's a good deal in the TinT4. Cons and nitpicks, so I would add this now in my reviews because there's always a con in each IEM. So if you're used to more revealing IEMs, maybe BA IEMs, this one might sound a bit too relaxed for you. For me, it's not a big issue. It's not, a relaxed sounding IEM overall. It's still in the more engaging side. But it's something for you guys to note if you, are used to BA IEMs. Also, as I mentioned, the highs can be a touch more extended. The highs, is a bit more toned down compared to the TinT3. So I would like it to be a touch more extended on top. But again, it's not a big issue. It's not lacking at all in the highs department. Also, the mids can be a bit more revealing. It's a touch veiled, I'd say, but it's also, again, not a big issue. Also, the build can be better. So this is something that I say that I am expecting in the TinAudio because the TinT3 has a better build overall. Alright, so verdict. So this is a keeper sound-wise for me, regardless of price. It's super duper versatile. It can cover, casual listening, can cover some monitoring, even some mixing. And also not super duper picky with the source, so I kind of like that kind of IEMs, jack of all trades. It kind of performs well in different kind of tasks. So even from your mobile phone, this can sound still really good and scale with better gear also. So even if the build for me is a little bit underwhelming, the sound for me makes up for the lackness of the build for me. So that's why I really like the TinT4s. This is a keeper for me. So definitely right now, this is the best under $100 for me. This is our $100 king. And for me, frankly, for the IEMs that I reviewed in the channel, This is the best $200 IEM that I reviewed in the channel, even if this is just $100. So the value is really great. I really like the overall presentation of T-Force. This is keeper territory for me. IEMs that I won't sell because I really like it. So it falls on that category for me. So for the first time, there's a TinAudio that will reach our top 1. Because it's kind of a well-rounded IEM now. I didn't have some issues here compared to what I did get with the Tin T3. So good job TinAudio here for the Tin T-Force. I will definitely recommend it. Of course, if you learned something, leave a like and subscribe for more content like this in the future. And have you heard of TinAudio T-Force? What do you think of them? Do you like it, not like it? Let me know also down in the comments below. And I'm gonna see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.